It all started in the right field corner, a taunting sing-along chant that soon reverberated through Fenway Park. Jose Canseco stood at the mound, turned to the crowd and flexed his enormous right biceps, and gave them a smile. Crowd knew he was a cheater. Everyone sitting at home watching TV knew he was on steroids, and above all, the MLB knew he was juicing. But at this time, it was a don't ask, don't tell policy. Then, at the end of his career, Jose Canseco was effectively forced out of baseball. As revenge, Canseco walked into a book publisher, and a tell-all memoir was created in which he would call out his fellow players for steroid use. Within a month of its publication, the book, Juiced, sparked a congressional hearing from Congress, and Major League Baseball would never be the same.
Jose Canseco, variously called the bad boy of baseball or the godfather of steroids, has written a much-talked-about book he calls Juiced, that purports to tell the truth about his own use of anabolic steroids and human growth hormone, and the same about other top players in the major leagues.
Today, Major League Baseball suspended Baltimore's Rafael Palmeiro for 10 days, citing steroid policy violation. The Orioles' first baseman denied ever using steroids during a House hearing last March. Here's a look at those proceedings, also including players Jose Canseco, Mark McGwire, and Sammy Sosa.
Canseco bids for the second homer of the inning. If it's fair, he's got it.
Whoa.
And it settles into the upper deck.
Oh my goodness.
I am the #1 best Call of Duty player.
The bottom line is she's going to go on land tomorrow and prove herself.
A lot has been said about Nadia, much speculation and allegations of cheating, leading to many conspiracies. And today I will try to finally come to a conclusion to my findings, and I will challenge you to think deeper when it comes to this, and not only see what is in front of you, but also what history has said about cheating in billion-dollar industries like Major League Baseball. And at the end, I will do a scene comparison that will hopefully point us to the truth. This is the Call of Duty conspiracy. Although Nadia has only recently been the subject of outrage, she has not been the only heavily accused of cheating. Before this, Zlander was the most accused cheater of all time. Zlander has fallen out of the limelight thanks to Nadia, but I would like to talk about cheating in Call of Duty as a whole, and not just individuals that are currently viral. Since they are the most well known, I will be using them as examples. Zlander is currently signed to Optic Gaming, which basically means he's a free agent. He's signed with a team, an organization, and while that does offer some degree of legitimacy, it doesn't necessarily mean he's not cheating. While playing online, sitting comfortably at home, cheating is a lot easier because there isn't any officials or referees looking over your shoulder. LAN events are usually mutually agreed upon that they are safe from any cheating. However, I would question Optic Gaming's integrity on this, because the player by the name of Forsaken was caught at a LAN event with cheats, and this would be famously known as the Word.exe scandal. Hex, the owner of Optic Gaming, was aware Forsaken had been banned before, but was signed anyways. And in my mind, I question Optic Hex's integrity once again. The point being, if he signed a cheater once, why wouldn't he do it again with Zlander? There are several forms or types of hacking, but for today's purposes, I would like to show you the basic idea. When someone says that someone else is a hacker, most of the time they don't actually mean they are hacking the game, as hacking requires a lot of knowledge, just merely downloading a program in which the program is preset for you, and all you have to do is customize the settings. These are known as cheaters, not hackers. What I believe the case to be here is that these streamers are using programs from cheat websites, not actually hacking. However, if they were hacking, they would be almost impossible to detect, and I'll explain why. Hacking is done by someone who creates a virtual machine, a PC within a PC, then using Linux, a different operational system altogether from Windows. Then by using the open source software known as Cheat Engine, the virtual machine uses a number of different identifiers, different than the actual hardware and software on the real computer. Then a VPN is used. A VPN is a virtual private network, and it doesn't mean it's ExpressVPN or some other well-known service. It can be made from any server and can be set up however they want. If they are ever caught, their IP address, hardware IDs, and other identifiers won't ever be detected. They can simply delete the virtual machine from their computer and start over with a new account, then fix whatever slip-ups they had and the cheats they were using, then program this to what's called a loader, then package this up for a monthly subscription that then they promote on a website. This is where the real hacking takes place. And if you think your modern anti-cheat service can detect all of that, you would be wrong. I will say from the research I have done, there are two notable things about this process. If I were a real hacker hacking this game, my identity and computer hardware would never be banned. Private cheats are a real thing, and the companies that make them can gross over $500K a month just from the private cheats alone. A private cheat is just simply a different version of the cheats on their website, and the likelihood of being caught would go down dramatically because the software developers trying to catch and ban cheaters would most likely be looking for a specific series of cheats, basically the same cheats with the same hallmarks or indicators. There are circles within circles of these programmers, and I was actually dumbfounded in my research of just how much you can get away with. I would like to get back to Nadia, an interview she did with Jay Clucky. When they went over her cheating allegations and what she said, I think it's what she didn't say that is the most telling. She said she was willing to talk about anything, aimbot, wall hacks, everything, except for VPNs. Now, as much as I know about cheating, this struck me as strange because out of all the things she would not talk about, she didn't want to talk about VPN use.
For the viewers at home, one thing we are not going to be talking about tonight will be VPNs.
If you recall what I said about hackers earlier, you will note I said most hackers use some sort of VPN. However, I didn't mean a VPN service like ExpressVPN, IPVanish, or some other known company. An actual private network that only a few have access to and can be ran privately, not through a company. And this is where the whitelist conspiracy may have some merit. A whitelist basically means there is a list of protected players that can't get banned. However, one of the best ways to do this would be through a VPN. Therefore, when their PC connects to the game server, the server knows this is a protected player, making it impossible for them to be banned, even if they were, in fact, cheating in some way. If in fact Nadia signed an NDA or a non-disclosure agreement, it would make a lot of sense that the company that makes Call of Duty wouldn't allow her to talk about VPN use. I could see how a whitelist would be useful for a game such as Call of Duty because of the sheer amount of spam that these streamers receive on a daily basis. However, like in the past, I believe we are dealing with a don't ask, don't tell policy here, like we saw earlier in the Major League Baseball. I believe this to be true in Major League Gaming. Activision, the company that owns Call of Duty, definitely uses NDA for anyone that gets any kind of special access, and this is where the conspiracy gets interesting. A couple of years back, a well-known Call of Duty YouTuber by the name of Drifter had his house broken into, and reportedly, only some key files and paper were stolen, of which was none other than an NDA for Call of Duty. No other valuables were stolen. Also, what was interesting is another YouTuber by the name of 8 Thoughts was accused of trying to blackmail Drifter, among other things, and was since been deplatformed, though the whereabouts of the NDA were never found out. It is interesting how valuable that paper is. If we have learned one thing, it's that history repeats itself. And as I promised earlier, here is a scene comparison from one of the best and well-known professional gamers of all time, Scump.
See, a lot of people ask me, why don't you do videos like that anymore? Why? And you know what? The simple, short answer for that, folks, is skill-based matchmaking. You're just not going 88-0 against players that are around or the same skill level. You know, it's just not happening. And I know there's ways around it. People get around it. I don't do that, though. And that's just... It's the sad reality of it, because I do know that people love pub stomps like this, but it's just not really a thing.
A bunch of COD pros have been DMing me. What's your secret to your aim? Teach me your ways. How do I have movement like yours? And I just send them this clip.
Basically, what Scump is saying here is that if you are dropping bombs, you are cheating. Oh, and by the way, he's signed to Optic Gaming. This has been Phantasm. Have a good night.